Okay, I think it's working. Opening the chat. If you can hear me, please say hello. I think if you're on Facebook pages or the YouTube channel, I think I should see the whole chat here. So what I'm going to do is pull up my little note card here, and let's just wait a couple of moments and see when people arrive. It looks like I have 0 people watching right now. So hopefully it's people are actually on the going to join the live stream with us, and I'll be able to I'll be able to keep track of everyone. Let's see. Oh, next. Looks like I still need to. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Okay, so hopefully everyone can hear me. If you are joining us, let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me, everyone. Okay, here we go. Now, also here, to the little email. Here we go. Okay, I'm starting to see people's comments now. Well, I see my own, and then I see Alicia. Okay, she can hear us. Great. All right. Well, let's just, I'm gonna get situated here. I think we'll probably be on for a little while. I got this cool like tripod thing in the garden to put out in the garden so that I could be with you. Let's see. I'm gonna turn it a little bit right now while we're getting situated, waiting for folks to arrive. So, what would help fill this up with folks so that I can really connect with lots of people and share is if you guys go and share right now that the link is working, share this in your places real quick, and then we'll get started. I'm gonna go actually grab a chair so that I can sit with you for a bit and answer some questions and chat about some stuff. I'll be right back. Let's see if this is working. Okay, can hear and see and chat works. Yay. All right. I'm using this really cool app. Oh, hey. Nice. I'm using this app called Melon that I love actually. It allows me to it records things. I can use it for meetings, and it allows me to live stream to a bunch of places at once. You can probably see I just got out of the shower. I sort of let the day get away from me and then was like, "Oh no, oh no, I have to go." So that's cool. It still shows it looks like it on my little count, it says that there isn't anybody watching, but it looks like there are a couple of you watching. So we must be having some things. So I'm just give me a couple minutes as we get started. I have just got a ton of email, so I just want to double check and make sure everybody knows that we are ready to go. Okay, YouTube. Okay, I'm just gonna send people some messages. You guys tell all your friends, and we'll see if we can get a little party going. Should be really fun. Let's see, let's see, let's see. Let's see. Double checking. Making sure. Okay, I think everybody's in. Great. I think some people thought this was Zoom too hard to do. You get a bunch of people that show up and then everyone's talking at once and people sort of barely know each other. So this is why I'm doing it this way, even though live stream is sort of one sided. That's why I sent out the email ahead of time to get some questions from y'all, and hopefully people will participate in the chat with your questions. So just going to open up a couple other things here just to make sure that everything is functioning properly. Oh, excuse me. Next time I'll know how to do this a little bit better. It's a really steep learning curve for me. I know some of you think that I'm like really good at technology stuff, but I actually have to really like claw my way up with every attempt. So okay, so it looks like we are live now, and that's very exciting. So And it doesn't say, let's see. I just want to make sure I'm showing up in all the places I'm supposed to be showing up in so that we don't leave anybody behind. I guess this app, Melon, that I'm using, it also streams to Facebook groups and stuff. Oh, let's turn off the volume. Oh wow, there's like a delay. It looks like it's a little jogged. So tell me if anything is freezing. I can move closer to the house. I looks like I do see some chat happening. Wow, it looks like there's like a lot of comments. Okay, so the comments, just so you guys know, the comments are taking like a minute or three to get to me. So if you're watching, just know that I will see it, and it might take me a minute to respond. But it looks like the comments are coming quickly, but they're just taking a minute to get to me here. So I'm going to close my email and I'm going to close all the other places, and I'm just going to focus on this one little camera on my computer and the garden and y'all. So we'll start with the comments that I can see. I'm going to start at the top and just welcome all of you. Thank you for coming. And it's my birthday. I'm 51 years old. You can tell because there's like stuff happening to my body, but 17 people. Alicia, all right. Thank you for all 17. Oh, 19 of you. Sweet, sweet. Northern California. That's where I used to be from. Hello from France. Yoga in pajamas. Feel good forest bathing. Wow, happy birthday. Thank you. Let's see. Oh, it's your birthday too? They say it's your birthday. That's awesome. Cancerian. Not that I even really believe in that stuff, but whatever. Here I am, like a total homebody with my little round face, saying I don't believe in astrology. It's actually pretty funny. Freezing. Oh, the video is freezing. Okay, I'm gonna move my little garden cart closer to the Wi-Fi. So y'all just bear with me here. Come along for the ride. Okay, we're gonna move this. So it's cool because we're gonna move a little closer to the acequia where the water comes in to the land here. Actually, I'm just gonna take the computer for now. And where's that happening? Hold on one second. Water comes in. We have an acequia system which was built like a million years ago. I don't know all the details, to be honest. I haven't like taken time to really read about it. Look at that beautiful backdrop. Jeez. Okay, I'm just gonna take the computer over here. My whole setup, I had a microphone and I got this cool camera that like follows you when you move. It has like remote control, and then I had this microphone and this little tripod and this whole situation. And I just got so overwhelmed that I couldn't really handle it. So that's here I am on my webcam, just trying to have a conversation. So hopefully the picture will be better. Just gonna come to um, my regular little office here on the patio. And okay, here we are. Video synced. Yeah, because I'm like way closer. Just have this fantasy that I can be out in the garden. Like, wouldn't that be cool if I could have the camera and then I'm back there, like running around and talking about stuff? And the thing is, when people do that, I think they have like a whole video crew. And I do this stuff pretty much by myself. And then, I mean, obviously there's tons of people involved, but I mean, like the video production end is me. So, okay, fading in and out. Where to grow the white sage? Okay, that's a cool question. I did not talk about growing the white sage yet. 28 people. Evolutionary therapeutic biology. What is that? Look at this. Did you know I could put you on the stream like that? Okay, we have a question. Everybody's saying happy birthday. Thank you so much. Y'all are awesome. 1971. Okay, sorry. That's really cool too. So let's see. Let's go ahead and get started. To happen, the time is now, so you don't miss anything. So I'm gonna give everybody like I'm just gonna sort of babble a little bit for like another 45 seconds and give everyone a chance to go and share this link where you can or where you are willing to. So we can get lots of people in here. The more questions we get, the more fun we can have, right? Um, so what here, this will help to get you going too. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna quickly go through and read the questions that I received via email. So most of you are probably here because you either saw this on social media or you saw it on email. and I invited you to come to this little party. So, and then I invited you also to ask questions about things that you were interested in. And I got a ton of response, but all of them were asking kind of the same 5 questions, which was really interesting to me. And a lot of that, what circulated, get my pun there, around water. And that, obviously it's a very pressing issue for us, always has been, and is getting even more intense as the years go by. And it's connected to a lot of other things like pollination. The drier it gets, the less the pollinators and the birds and the little wormy guys are thriving, etc. So collecting water, where to store it when you don't have like a giant cistern. So rain collection and storage was a common theme. Community water systems, like if you're sharing water with the neighbors, is that a good idea? How does that work? A lot of people are living in rural communities, and there's like water sharing issues going on. Uh, that's sort of a whole huge thing. I might say that one for last, right? Water-wise gardening in general, like what time of the day to water, what time of the day not to water. Some of this is really basic stuff that you hear about like in the gardening 101 class, but we'll touch on it. And then also like I want to talk about, like what I consider to be the most important actions that we take here in terms of water-wise gardening. So there's that. And then growing in the shade as part of a climate change gardening strategy. That was another theme. And we do a lot of that here. And just if you're growing a food forest, like a polycultural, perennial, multi-layer permaculture garden, then you are going to have to learn how to grow some stuff in the shade, because you're going to shade out your own garden. So you have to sort of think into the future and plan for that. So we're going to talk about that. There was a question about how to catch water specifically to make manure tea, like a kind of point of catchment discussion. So I have seen a couple of those. I'll talk about that. There was a question about how to start a local Food Not Lawns chapter. So we'll talk about that at the end. And then there was another person said, I would love to see your compost piles and how you deal with larger chipping, etc. Dealing with critters eating things and your herb medicinal plant garden. So that's a lot. And we'll circle back to that. That's like a bunch of other questions all wrapped together on other themes. So we'll circle back, but obviously compost and mulch, and it's all tied together into the water wisdom. And we do a lot of chipping here with a teeny tiny little electric chipper, and we use those materials for a lot of different things. So I'll show those to you at the end. Maybe we'll just like dare the Wi-Fi to screw us over and I can take the camera over to the piles and show you guys a couple of things, guys and gaias, a couple of things. So all of that being said, if any of you have anything you'd like to add to today's agenda, put it in the chat. And let's see, right here we have this one, Autumn. Really interested in what you're doing with water. I'm looking into diverting roof drain off of a pond without spending huge amounts of money. This is such a great, let's see if I can copy that onto my list. That's a great question. So this is kind of a cool format, right? We could do classes like this. I will talk about that. And I'm really interested in what you're doing with diverting your roof drain to your pond. And maybe that's something, maybe at the end, if we have time, if everybody's not completely exhausted, then we could have like Autumn or anyone else come on and talk about your favorite permaculture projects that you're doing. I can invite guests to my little live stream. So if you feel like you're like a water wizard and you really have some like pressing, really important information that you want to share with this community, especially if you see that there's a lot of people watching, then send me a message, not like just chat me, because I'm not checking my email or anything. So just chat me right here, and I'll give you the link, and we can. I think there's a private chat. There isn't, but I can. I'll add you to the thing, and then we can private chat together. But there's a little share button that we can try. So, okay, I'm taking Autumn's off. Let's see what else we got here. Tiny electric chipper. Look for the compost sifter. Oh, okay. So the compost sifter is called a riddle, like riddle me this. If you just look for that on like wherever you're shopping, or ask your local garden people if they're going to order some riddles. There's some really, really beautiful ones. The one that I got here, I'll show it to you. I'll go grab it. Ta-da! So this is a garden riddle, and this one is made of just like cheap galvanized aluminum. Is that a thing? Steel, aluminum? I don't know what it is, but It's basically like a little teeny, like a mandolin. It's really sharp. All these edges are really sharp for soil. And so, we have screens for seeds. I can show you those as well, and they're different. They're not sharp, right? But this will like cut your fingers sharp. And the best ones have these beautiful wooden handles, so you really cannot get your fingers in the way. With this one, you want to wear gloves because you can like totally screw up the little balls of your fingers. And what we use it for is here. I'll show you. So let's see. Okay, one second. My possible sound engineer assistant is here. The picture wasn't good enough there. It was too far from the Wi-Fi. Will you bring the little thingy over here for me? Sure. Sweet. Maybe we'll get our table back. Okay, let's see. Let's see. But for now, I can show you this. So tell me if the picture cuts out. You guys have to tell me right away because I don't want that to happen. So if it's freezing, then red alert me. Okay, so can you see the piles? Let's see. Okay, great. I'll be right back. Okay, so I have my I'm gonna try to go further away over here. Got it. Okay, so at the back here we have. I almost was gonna yell, but I forgot I have my earbuds in. At the back we have this chip stuff. This stuff comes from when we chip up like tree prunings and just like weeds and dry like Jerusalem artichoke stuff or whatever. And so that goes into this pile. And this pile does have some stuff in it. So then but you see, like, that's not really the good stuff. So there's not like a lot of, go ahead, just leave it right there. I'll get it. Just leave it. Okay. So there's not like a lot of good reasons to sift the stuff that just got chipped. But this stuff, okay, that stuff, can you see it? So that went pretty quick. And you end up with this. It kind of looks a lot like the first batch. So we dump that. And then this is the good stuff. So now we end up with 3 grades of mulch. So what that is the stuff that just came out of the chipper gets mixed with the big chunks that I just sifted out of the stuff that came out of the compost pile. So the two dark brown piles are from our compost. The one in the middle was the one that we actually pulled out when we turned the compost. And we dump it here. We sift it. We put the good stuff on the good stuff pile, and we use that for like potting and fertilizer, basically, or potting soil, seed mix, whatever we want to use it for. It's really good stuff. And then we mix the leftover chunky stuff with the mulch that came out of the chipper, and that creates a really nice mulch for like perennials. So we use the fine stuff on the annuals mostly, and the biennials like the veg, and the stuff that prefers like a richer nitrogen based soil. And then we use the leftovers from that, the stuff that got sifted out, and the chipped stuff for the perennials. And both of these types of mulch really help us to retain water in the garden. So that's what the riddle is for. And the riddle just kind of makes it more fun. We have this other screen that I'm not going to go get for you right now because it like claims a human sacrifice every time you use it. It's just like it fits on top of the wheelbarrow and has all this wire, and you sift the thing, and that's in some ways seems more efficient. Sort of working on the scale, and unless you do a really good job building that little screen, you're like always nicking yourself with the wire and getting your hands in the way, and it's a bit of a thing. And I'm not convinced that method actually goes any faster than just getting your little like hand-sized riddle and just kind of get into it and like listen to some music. It's really nice. Oh, God, I'm sweating. Okay, I'm coming back to the table here. Okay, here we go. So we're going to go for a ride. Let's see. Oh, There. Okay, that's pretty good, right? In my chair. Okay. Oh, God, you guys. It is so hot here. Okay. Let's see what's next. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to read through the comments real quick. That was just the first question, right? So let's see. Let's see. Cleaning gray water from the bath and shower. Yes, let's talk about that. I know a little something about that. Feel Good Forest Bathing wants to know about cleaning gray water from the bath and shower. So we'll chat about that. Maria, hello. Let's see. A couple weeks into starting my okay, let's look at this one. Oh, you guys, so humid today. I'm only a couple of weeks into starting my food forest on 1 acre. This morning I found a 500-gallon water tank for $80. Now where to put it? That's pretty cool. And 500 gallons turns out kind of isn't that much, right? Ooh, let's talk about that. That's really cool. Question. Got some ideas, and y'all, I don't have to be the only one answering questions here. You're seeing these questions in the chat as well, depending on where you are. I really want you all to go to YouTube. If you, wherever you're watching this from, if you're on, it looks like most of you are at YouTube, but if anybody's on like a Facebook page and you're seeing this, then come to the YouTube channel so that we can all be sort of chatting together, and also so that you can subscribe to my channel. I want to start doing these live streams like often, as much as people want, because I got this cool new app and it's pretty fun. So, okay, let's see. Let's have a look at this one. We're going to circle back and talk about all the stuff. I used an old swimming pool to store rainwater. I divert roof water to 200-liter container with a pump in it to divert it to a big garden houses swimming pool. Works well even in heavy rain. Very cool. Very cool. So, do you have pictures that you might want to share about that? Well, if any of you do have like some, you wanted to I don't know if I can actually forget I said that. I was going to say I could show them to everybody, but we'll have to organize that ahead of time for next time. We could do some like guest speaker slideshows type stuff. Let's see. I use an old frying pan. This is cool. Yeah, very cool. I wish I could have gotten a hold of one. Like when I moved to Spain, I was sort of really disappointed that there wasn't lots of cool, like vintage European junk around, but it's actually pretty hard to find secondhand things here. So, as a result, for the first time in my life, because I've always been able to very easily find secondhand stuff. I mean, in Oregon, you just go to like, any barn in town and you can find a little riddle that's like made of copper or something. But here it's very hard to find recycled, repurposed things. And it's also very hard to find good quality things. So I ended up sort of, splurging on the nice one with the plans to just like keep it nice. Okay, real quick. Sorry, guys, I'm going off in a million directions. I guess nobody really minds. Just tell me to shut up if you want. Do you have your compost on concrete? No, we have it stored on concrete right now. I can talk about that. That was definitely a choice, the piles that you see. We do not have a lot of concrete here, but we do have some, more than I would like, and we are renting, so we can't tear it up, so we use it strategically. Let's see. How to keep the water clean. Yeah, that's a whole can of worms, isn't it? Okay, hold on. I'm trying to go a little faster. I love that y'all are chatting with each other. Do it, do it. Okay, I'm gonna, yes, artichoke plants. That's on the list, actually. I have artichoke plants and they're not doing very well, but I used to be able to grow them very easily. So I sort of have like a pros and cons thing that I think. So we're going to talk about artichokes. Artichoke. Okay, so this is enough for now for me to cover. If there's something that you just cannot stand it if I don't cover it, then put it up there and like give me like lots of hearts and stuff or something so that I know that it's happening. Oh, hi Mari, I accidentally put you on the screen. Okay, and then I'm gonna I want to put a couple of things up for you so that you oh, this is cool. So I guess it's in the chat too, but I'm going to put it right here. Oops. Forums. This is the link. Add. Is it showing up? And show. There we go. Okay, that link, I want you all to type it in right now, wherever you are, because if you're not already in there, we have our own little forum. The reason say, oh, y'all, I hope that we're all in these Facebook groups together because, there's some really, really good Facebook groups. And if I do say so myself, some of the best groups on Facebook on these topics are in our network. And I do love them. But, Facebook is not a safe space. It's really weird there, and it's getting weirder by the day. So we got this forum that I created about a year ago, and there are several thousand people in there, and really good people sharing really good information and asking great questions. And the more we put into it, the more we get out of it. So I really hope that all of you will go there, and don't just go there, like bookmark it on your phone like you do Facebook. Like click there every morning when you're sitting on the toilet and just kind of see what's up, turn on notifications, and like let the emails not annoy you. The emails come from, they're automated. So, you have to be careful. If you join a lot of groups, then you want to make sure that you're controlling your notifications in all the groups, because you can end up getting totally blown up. And then you unsubscribe and then you don't get anything, right? So you got to kind of take control of that like you do on Facebook, right? And so just jump in there. I would love to see you all in there. So that's my little thing about that. I'm going to hide that now. And then of course the other one is that, oh, look at this other thing that I can do. The almost same URL, courses. So that was forums.permaculture.link. And then if you go to courses.permaculture.link, is that working? Show? Hey, that's so cool. Then that gets you to a whole plethora of free online permaculture courses that I made for you. And that includes massive volumes of content, not just me running my mouth, but, I've curated stuff for you. I've like waded through the plethora of blogs and YouTube channels and Facebook groups and found like what I consider to be the most like accurate and reputable and digestible and accessible material on these topics. Because, there's a huge range of materials available for you. And then also, obviously, I've created tons of content. And then we had this whole group of women put together this permaculture design course. And I've had, almost 1,000 people come through that course and get certified in permaculture. But what's happening now is that course is evolving into something that is going to be really just free and accessible for everyone. Because because of the way we structured the program, we were still having to charge quite a bit of money, and we were kind of the most affordable online permaculture course, but still several $100s, and it was a lot. So I want to downsize and streamline that and make this stuff just easily and readily available. The more we cannot slow down with how many people are learning these skills, and we're all so hungry for it, right? I mean, we want to be out here in the garden. So all of that being said, I'm going to turn off the ticker now. Let's jump into some of this water stuff. So I'm going to turn the chat back on. Oh God, what is this? How do we block somebody? Somebody's like, somebody's blowing up my chat. What happens now? Oh my God, you guys, what's going on? Can you report that if someone's doing that? Hold on, now I got to, I have to go and ban them. Hold on 1 second. God, so annoying. I tell you what, trolls ruin everything, don't they? I mean, that's what's going on here. So let me just take care of this motherfucker real quick. Pardon my French. So let's see. Okay, let's open this up. We're gonna go here. We're gonna wash those trolls right off of the stream. Okay, your channel. Find my way over there. Videos. I mean, like, do you guys really think like this guy that's like posting these random troll comments on, what is that? What is he even doing? Like selling Bitcoin or something? I mean, just why? Okay, hold on. Oh, blocked him. Okay, yeah. Oh, Fill with Emotions, Naked HD. I mean, what is this? Okay, hold on. I'm just removing. Report. Okay. And then this person, of course, probably has like a zillion, channels, right? It's so frustrating because I really do want to I want to do these live streams, right? And I want to do classes and stuff. In the past when we've tried to have just like free open space things, we've had something that like I try to a safe space for um, people to just like share information about permaculture. It's really sad, right? It's like super frustrating fact. But anyway, I'm not going to go down that road. Okay, so I think we took care of that guy. I am gonna just save this little window over here. Maybe next time I could get someone like helping me with this, but okay, so there's that. All right, here we are. Let's do the questions. Let's start at the top. All right, collecting water, where to store it. So the thing is that the cheapest place to store water is in the soil. So if you can build a cistern, and we have a septic tank, and you can build hugelkultures, and you can build swales, and you can increase the water holding capacity of your soil by adding organic matter, and you can put in a pond, and you can have rain barrels where you store and stash water. And the answer to the question of which of those should you do is all of the above. I am a big fan of collecting water in a lot of places, and in as many places as you can. And there's the source to sink idea that kind of, I think the easiest way to wrap your head around it is to start with thinking about the source to sink. So when you, sorry, I'm getting distracted by my own live stream over here with this. When you turn on the faucet in the kitchen, if you don't have gray water set up or anything, you turn on the faucet, right? And that's like your water source for the moment. It comes right out. And then if you don't have a plug in, it just goes right into the sink and away. And that's it. Source to sink, slam. It was like 12 inches, right? But the ideal water system is going to be closed loop to the point where when the water comes in, wherever it comes in from, whether it's the faucet or the roof or the mains, or wherever you're getting your water, it comes in and you divert it and stash it and turn it and use it and filter it and divert it again and reuse it again as many times as you possibly can before it gets to the drain, before it leaves your site. So ideally it never leaves your site. You've used it so many times, it stays there the whole time. So if you wrap your head around that, and then you think about all these other little components, such as the rain catchment and the gray water bucket and the pond and the cistern, and whatever scale you're working at and whatever objects or strategies you can get a hold of, then you think about those as components in that source to sink strategy. So that's why all of these questions are connected together. So that's your mulch, that's your roof catchment, that's your gray water system, right? So hopefully that helps. I just want to quick check the. Again, you're not going to put in a 200,000 gallon cistern and then just like nurse that all year. You're going to try to catch water as many times as you can. When it does rain that one day in the summer, you're going to try to catch that, but you're also going to conserve and catch water in the soil as much as you possibly can. And now with this information comes the fact that there are very, very few humans on the planet, and even less percentage wise in our online permaculture community, who actually are or ever will have a closed loop water system. So there is a thing about permaculture. Like lately, I've been really sort of playing with the notion of like a pragmatic permaculture, because I think it's really important not to bullshit ourselves. I think it's really important to do what we can to improve the day-to-day quality of life for ourselves and the other species that we live in conjunction with at home. And that involves employing all of these techniques. But when we get out of it with these unrealistic ideas of like, oh, I'm going to be this closed loop water bubble in my neighborhood and it's all going to stay right here. It's just, it's not realistic. And it's actually kind of not how nature works either. Like it's all interconnected. So until we can pull everyone into the game and be corresponding in this lovely way, then we are not gonna, get very far with the fully closed loop. So why do it? Well, the point is to, we do it for the plants, right? Like, so the more water that stays on site, the better your plants do. And the better your plants do, the better you do. And the better you do, the better your children do, and so on. And when everybody is thriving, then that's how we, I think, can create in the future a thriving, ecological civilization. But it's really easy to get lost in those big ideals, especially when you're thinking about water, because it's a really big issue. So start small with the little spots. Like every time you put a little bit of mulch into one corner, you're saving water. And every time you get one bucket, and gray water, putting the gray water bucket under the kitchen sink is like a hardcore way to learn, because it fills up fast and you start to clue in deeply into the amount of water that you waste. So for me, that was how it started. And I mean, we actually don't even have gray water in our kitchen sink here right now. We have a whole other thing going on here. But for me, that was how it started. Was we had a bucket under the kitchen sink, and um, there were a lot of different things that went on with that. And that's actually one of the questions about how to keep it clean and how to store it longer term once you've caught it, and how to filter the gray water. So, we'll get into that in a second. Is that troll guy again? I'm getting distracted again because this is so annoying. Let me see if he's back. Looks like someone else is on the YouTube channel again. I will find a girl for you. Hide. I mean, just why? Let me just remove these. They're so stupid. It is. It's a new one. I mean, how many channels does this dumbass have? Oh my god, it's so annoying. So next time we do this, I'm gonna have to like have somebody helping me just to like keep the weird, creepy people out. Um, okay, let's see. Let me read through the comments. Now I'm on YouTube, so I can actually see all the comments. So I'm gonna quickly have a look. I love that y'all are chatting with each other. I hope you keep doing that. Okay, I'm gonna put this away again. Here we are. How long have we been on here anyway? Seems like it's gone on forever. Okay, here we go. So let's move on to the next topic. Artichokes. Let's talk about that. So we have some really sad little artichokes. I've been trying to get a patch of artichokes going here for several years because I really like the way they look when there's like a clover lawn in like see that area. See that area behind me? We talked about the concrete. I'll talk about that right now too. So that's actually was a driveway, like a car parking place. We don't have a car. And we also, it's tiny. Like you would have to have such a tiny little car to be able to get it in and out of here. It's really kind of ridiculous. It's like not even that easy to get a bike in and out of here, honestly. But there's a tiny sloping poured concrete. And this is also where the big water comes in whenever we get our irrigation. We have flood irrigation here on an acequia system, and I'll talk about that as well. And so if the water does come into and through our mulch piles, it's actually just a good thing. It just kind of moistens them underneath and then drains out. So we don't have to worry about them getting like too saturated if they're in like a place where there's too much water. But they also don't get too dry here because it's really shady, and it's also very accessible for us with the wheelbarrow. And the real reason is that we're just kind of out of room in the not paved areas of the garden. They're all just like garden to the nines. And so since we don't have a car and we do have piles of mulch that we need, and then, see how there's just like all this elbow room. So I can sort, and that's all very comfortable. And then he brings the chipper. I think, he put it away. We were going to show it to y'all. So this is where we come in. Look at those succulents. When we first got here, that was ivy. But I've got my little succulent museum. So we come in there, and then, as you can see, it's very narrow. And then this behind me, this was all like car turnaround. It just had been like driven on forever. And we've turned it into like a little jungle garden. So back to artichokes. So over my shoulder, you can see all this clover. And I really wanted to have like a big hedge of artichokes there. I thought that would be just so super cool. They're so stunning, aren't they? Especially when they're blooming, but even just like with the globes on them. And I thought they would do well there because the water comes in and goes right past them. But it's just sort of too high and dry. And I don't know if artichokes like acidic soil or what. When I lived in Oregon, we grew artichokes. They wanted full sun and they wanted tons of water, and then they were fantastic, you know. But here in our little food forest, we kind of, if we have full sun, there's not a ton of water there, and the places where there is a ton of water, that's where I'm growing like raspberries. So I'm sort of up on the artichokes because of those things, and it's a hard lesson for me in a way that I sort of already knew, but in that you can't just always grow what you want. You know, if you're putting so much work into something and you're ending up with like 7 artichokes by the end of the year for it, imagine like investing those same hours into, you know, walnuts or avocados, for example. Avocados do really well here. They're like relatively easy to grow, even though in this region it's super dry and you have to put a lot of water in to grow avocados mostly because we're in a low spot that does have some wet areas. The areas, for example, that chose my thrive, I can do avocados. So I'm going to do avocados, right? So that's my artichoke story. Um, so shade growing is part of a climate change strategy. I think artichokes will grow in the shade in certain climates, but they still need a lot of water. So if you have like a wet shady, I think they do want sun and water. So I don't know how much artichokes are going to be coming with us into the Armageddon that we are headed for with climate change, unfortunately. See what's next on my list. Catching water for manure tea. I love this. Okay, so I was talking about compost, and you know, we have our, if I take you back to the compost pile, y'all, it's gonna cut out. You're not gonna be able to see it. It's a really conventional compost pile. There's nothing fancy going on back there. We pile up the weeds, we get some manure from the neighbors as much as we can. If we're lucky, we get some horse manure, and we layer it in with the green and the brown, and we try to get it to turn into that stuff I showed you earlier. And we kind of have 3 piles, like the pile where shit just gets piled up when it's fresh, and then that gets turned into the other pile that also gets our kitchen scraps added to it, and we have to like put chicken wire around that to keep the dogs out. And then we have like the stringy stuff that doesn't break down very easy, kind of brush pile that is just, you know, always a mess behind it. And then, you know, we're constantly scraping up and raking and scooping the stuff. Like someone said, oh, that, you know, soil, like the soil eats all my compost, and you have to just be constantly like taking it back, you know. And that is one of the reasons that we've started now harvesting a little bit more frequently and bringing it over off of the soil onto the concrete to kind of try to prevent the worms from like taking everything, so that we can control where it goes, because it was in this back corner and like the trees in that corner are doing great, but I don't know, I wanted to spread it out. So to catch water for manure tea, I think it would be really cool. What I've seen done before is, especially in a hot climate, um, folks had like a little, they had like a little kind of half shed, like lean-to roof built to cover these like mulch piles, like the finished good stuff, because you don't want that stuff to dry out, right? You don't want that stuff getting blasted by the sun. So when you harvest your compost pile, you put it into the little shade lean-to thing that you made, and then you catch water off of that lean-to, and it goes into like whatever buckets or barrels or whatever you can get a hold. You can suspend, you can make your little compost tea bags and float those in there. And the one that I saw was like that, and it had a little solar pump because you want to circulate that water. So they had mounted this cute little solar pump, and it was bubble, 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 and then they would just come and scoop it out. And you know, to be fair, it was still pretty funky. It wasn't like your perfectly aerobic, like beautiful, drinkable compost tea. It was like pretty nasty, but I think that stuff still works just fine. And it doesn't matter if it doesn't rain very often because it just sits there and gets funky when it's not raining. And then when it does, it gets like replenished, you know? So that's one way that I've seen it. You know, I'm not going to say that that was like a pristine system. As I mentioned, it was like kind of funky. There was worms. It stank a little bit, but it was definitely a resource. And they were using rain catchment, which was cool. Um, if you live in a really dry place where it only rains, you know, for 3 months a year, then those 3 months a year, it's going to be like a sloppy mess, and then the rest of it is just going to dry out. And I guess you could just do your fertilizing during the sloppy mess period, you know, kind of working with the seasons, or you could figure out, you know, how to sort of bottle that stuff somehow. Um, I'm not exactly sure. So let's see. Let me just double check. gonna come back to the questions. Let me just get through the ones that not lawns. That used to be a thing that we did. I used to try to keep track of everyone and try to like get everyone to use the same logo and not to use food not lawns to like try to make money with their landscaping business. I really want food not lawns to be like food not bombs in that it's about harnessing surplus resources and sharing them to improve the lives of people who can't afford those things. And so when people want to start a local chapter of food not lawns so that they can like be a nonprofit and raise money so they can like have a job, I get it that that's a cool idea in a lot of ways, but it's just kind of not what we're for. So traditionally, the rules with starting a local chapter have been that you have to host an annual seed swap once a year, and you have to have at least two work parties in which you help each other install gardens, either at your houses or anywhere in town, guerrilla gardens, whatever. And you just have to work together on a garden at least twice a year, and you have to have a seed swap at least once a year, and then that's it. And then you can't use the name to make money. And then if you in the past, I used to try to keep the list going on the website, but people never updated me with their links. And then so then I had a website full of broken links. And now here we are 20 years later, and I'm saying get the book for free. I really appreciate you not do something like that Grow Food Not Lawns Facebook page that's now like full of like QAnon and Sean Hannity shit. Like that wasn't cool that they took the name of my book and made their like far right like psycho Facebook page. I don't want anybody to do that, but I want people to kind of run with it in their own direction. So I am not keeping track of who does what with Food Not Lawns anymore. It's just like was impossible to enforce, and I just hope that people will like in good faith continue the movement in like a beautiful way. So that's the deal with local chapters. Um, Everything is just free. Everything I do is just free. I hope that everything you do under that banner will also be free. Okay, would love to see your post. Okay, we talked about that. Let me look at my notes again. Uh, Cleaning water. Let's talk about cleaning the gray water. So in my book, Food Not Long, which you can get for free, which by the way, let's put up a banner. I'm gonna put up another banner. Let's do another one. Let me see. If you go here, I guess I could put it in the chat too, but I want you guys to type it in because it's fun. Foodnotlawns.com slash, I think it's just called slash water. That's what we're talking about. Show. Hey. Of my book, Food Not Lawns, that I wrote. Remember. Um, and that chapter is about water. And honestly, that's like everything I still know. I've learned some stuff since then. I've seen some really cool implementations, but all the basics are there. Everything you need to know to create a closed loop water system for your home or your community, preferably you're working with your neighbors, and we're going to get to that in a second. Then it's all in there. And then from there, you can extrapolate. And then also in the free online permaculture courses that I host, there are classes on water with like updated links, and there's so much to dive into. So, in terms of cleaning your gray water, don't just take what I say here or expect me to explain it all right this moment. But in that book, in the water chapter, there is a diagram of something that I call a slime monster. And that is what you use to clean your gray water. And long story short, it's basically a pit, a bathtub, or something, a little thing that you dug with some baffles, meaning like pieces by baffles. Let's pretend you're looking over like the top of it. There's like pieces of wood that are like, so when the water comes in, it goes, and then there's gravel and like cattails planted into the gravel. So, we call it a slime monster. There's like a tube coming in from your gray water, and the tube coming out is presumably been filtered enough that like the slimy stuff that was from your soap has now not gone to the garden. Um, the easiest way to make sure that that is never a problem is to just use like good quality dish soap, or like almost no dish soap, like just really really hot water and like a good scrubby and like a drop at a time of like super good eco soap. That is going to radically improve your success with your gray water system. If you're trying to force it to filter a bunch of stuff, even if it is like the eco soap, it's going to get gummy, it's going to stink, it's going to get too alkaline. There's a lot of things that can happen. So just the closest the gray water is to being just water and dirt, that's the best, right? So that's one thing. Let's see what else we got going on here. Let's look at a couple more. All right, where to put the 500-gallon water tank? Well, I would say if it's ugly, bury it in the ground or put it behind the house. And if it's beautiful or can be made beautiful, then put it out in the front and really like pipe the system in a way that's really inspiring and provokes people to ask you about it. That's my short answer to that, to where to put the 500-gallon water tank. Um, I use an old swimming pool to store rainwater. I've always thought that's the way it should go, right? I divert roof water, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that, I can't even remember who said that. The swimming pools. It makes so much sense. I've never in my life understood why people don't collect rainwater into the swimming pools. And here in the neighborhood where I live, we have this acequia system that I keep mentioning. And a lot of people have a swimming pool that doubles as like a cistern. So the water comes in, they collect it, they swim, they bob around, they make a mess, they swim until the water's dirty, basically. And then they open the thing and it goes into the irrigation system and it irrigates the garden and primarily the trees. So a lot of people here have olives, and so then they collect a ton of water all at once into their pool. They use it until it's dirty, and then they use it to water, and then they fills up again with the next time the water is released. And so there's I'm almost ready to start talking about that. I just want to answer a couple more questions here. Um, okay, actually, I've gotten to the list of those, so I'm just going to double check the comments here and make sure we're all don't have anything urgent happening. Gray water slime monster. How do you sustain your money when so much is free? Hey, that's a great question. Oh, hold on. Let me just turn this little stream off, y'all. One second here. Um, Turn the ticker off. Hide. Okay, here we go. Chat. How I sustain myself is um with my trust fund. No, I'm joking. I don't have a I don't have a trust fund. Okay, well, it's sort of like a two-sided story. So basically, I grew up really poor with like a single mom, like working class single mom. And as in my 20s, like dropped out of high school and in my early 20s was like an activist and I never had any money. And I cleaned houses for money and was able to make the rent. And I happened to be at the time, especially really, really frugal and was able to stash little tiny bits of money. And but then I decided that I was gonna go to college, and, so basically in the '90s, I was able to make the rent, and then I decided to go to school, and got, like, jacked to the hilt in student loans, and then, like, gentrification happened in a huge way in the areas that I'm from, on the West Coast, in Oregon and California, and I was homeless, basically, for, like, 15 years. So from when I started writing Food Not Lawns we were doing Food Not Lawns activism, and I was, like, living on student loans, right? So then I graduate, and I publish Food Not Lawns, and I'm, like, $100,000 in debt, or at that point, it was, like, $30,000 in debt, actually, and just kinda trying to make the rent and not able to find stable housing in Oregon and really, really struggling. So that went on for, like, some 6 or 7 years, kind of living in trucks and tiny houses and camper vans and going from place to place and doing lots of, like, I live with the wealthy people and I do their garden in exchange for, like, the apartment above the barn type thing. And so that went on for a really long time, all through my 30s and into my 40s. And then at one point, I ended up working trimming weed on a farm in California and worked really, really hard for some months and saved up a chunk of money. And that enabled me to actually rent a place in Portland, which is where I do basically for like enough money to go and spend it all on rent. And then, manage to during that time still kind of stash away little bits of money here and there that I wouldn't have been able to save if I hadn't been spending half the year living in my vehicle, sort of making the long version of the story. And then I saved up enough money doing that, living out of my truck, to then leverage that so that I could get out of there where I couldn't afford to live and come here where I can afford to live. And I'm renting this place here. We didn't like buy a place. I didn't have that kind of money at all. And was able to rent this place for really cheap and kind of catch my breath and figure out how to leverage my knowledge and experience now that I'm not like traumatized by the constant search for stable housing. Hold on, I'm gonna take this off. Now that I'm not traumatized by the constant search for stable housing or just like sleeping in my truck when there's like sketchy people outside, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, that started when I was a child and went on my whole life. Finally was able to come here, catch my breath, and got super inspired and made all these classes. And I started out charging for them. Actually, I wanted people to pay and I wanted to build this online business. And I had this little cushion of savings that I had worked on for 10 years. I finally had enough and it was going to run out. And I did these, I set up a bunch of classes and kind of not that many people signed up. And it was like nickel and dime trying to get people to pay. And so I decided, fuck it, it's all going to just be free. So we did have the women's online permaculture design course, which was not free. And I started building that during this process. But that was kind of like a no sum project. Basically, it made enough money to pay for itself to happen. But meanwhile, I started building these other things. And honestly, people shocked me with being so generous. Like people donate a lot. And not so much that I would be able to afford to necessarily go home and like live in the place where I'm from. I wouldn't be able to. But because my cost of living is low, and because I've been able to mitigate the student loans now, then I have been able to make it happen. And then the part I left out is that I ended up going to grad school thinking that would help me be more employable or that I could somehow, have this unique set of skills. I was like, oh, if I go to grad school, I can get a cool university job. And so I borrowed a bunch more money to go to grad school. And then of course those university jobs for permaculture people do not exist, not for people who look like me. And so then there was that. But that grad school education really helped me to harness the information and to be able to have the confidence to create this. And then I started crawling up the online business learning curve. So the long story short, too late, is that I make barely enough money to where I can really do nicely here and be really comfortable and safe and happy here. And that's how I'm able to keep this going. But as we try to live like a lower middle class American lifestyle, I'd have to kill probably programs because they do take a lot of time and they don't necessarily have like a huge return on investment. But yeah, we make it and it's worth it, right? Because it's all just awesome. That's my whole sordid story. Love your ideas for community. My husband and I fixing up a house. Okay, let's talk about the acequia and the community. Let's talk about the acequia. I'm going to talk about that and then I'm going to close. Okay, so I'm going to bring you guys down here. Let's come over here. All right. Let's see. So this is, now I'm facing south. And behind me is the south facing like dry microclimate. See those tomatoes? There's one on there. And then right there, you guys see that weird concrete looking contraption that's kind of like, let's see. I want to show it to you. See that pipe there? There's like a little pipe. I'm sorry, I was yelling. There's like a little pipe and that's where the water comes in. And the water goes under the driveway before it comes there. And the first place it comes in, so this is the source for us at this moment, is right there. And before that, the source is, there's like a hub, several houses up the hill. There's like a little community hub where it gets like directed, turned on and off and guided. And then before that, the source is like a county or, Pueblo-wide association that like controls and stores the water up above. And then before that, the source is the snow. And so what they do is that thing I was talking about diverting the water from source to sink, is it starts at the mountain here because the water system is so old. And they're diverting the water across the entire mountain and trickling it into each community on like a planned and coordinated timing schedule that everybody seems to magically know and have had the same schedules for generations. So the land here where we rent it's a quarter acre and it's a little we get 45 minutes once a week. We open the gates and the land fills with water. And we have slowly, like if you see the clover, so all the green stuff that looks like grass, it kind of looks like a big lawn, especially on the camera. There's just like green grassy looking stuff everywhere. So but that's actually the paths of the water. So we've got all of our garden beds designed on contour and the water comes in at the source and slowly works its way back and forth across the land. And we don't even have a sink here because what I do is I have the water, it comes in and we split it right when it comes in. It goes one direction across the top and it goes the other direction down the side. And then they're circling, they're both going like this. And then they bump into each other. And that chaos that happens when they meet pushes everybody back up. We have a teeny tiny slope on the land and we build all the beds on contour. So that allows us to happen. And there's actually one section where we make the water speed up so that it can force that like little chaotic thing to happen when it bumps into the other. So it goes like this and then it goes downhill and then everybody pushes back up and we have all this organic matter and it percolates into the soil. So the very first time we watered here was a really cool learning moment because the water, if we had the sandy soil, we didn't have all this ground cover. We hadn't designed it very well. We had designed the beds not on contour. I don't know why we did that, but that's how they were before. And the water came in and it just went shoo, and like over the wall into the neighbor's house. So now nothing, that never happens. Not a drop leaves our site when we get water. So there's that. And that's pretty awesome. It's a really cool way to irrigate. And we do hand water sometimes, like especially when there's babies, it just gets too hot and dry. Like the soil gets crusty during the day. And if I'm trying to get seeds up or I'm trying to get things to water, trying to water things in after they've been transplanted, then I do have to hand water with the well water that comes from the house. So there's that. Burying logs and twigs, yes, definitely. And depending on your climate, sometimes burying logs and twigs um, can cause like stuff like termites and stuff to happen, and other times it can cause like too much mold and like like little sinking like nasty spots in the garden. But if you're strategic with it and you do it on contour and then you make sure that you're in like a climate where hugelkultur is appropriate, it can be a huge wonderful strategy. I mean, a really good hugelkultur is cool. Here, the hugelkultur thing is like we call that a burn pile around here because it's just dry. We'd have to water the hugelkultur every day. Um, unless we did it in a pit. But even that, like it's so rocky, it's just not. You don't see a lot of hugel in southern Spain. Although in areas, if you go up a little higher where it's like cherry country, I bet there's some good ones. Okay, y'all, we've been on for an hour. I've been running my mouth the whole time. I would love to connect more. Send me an email. Don't forget to share this cool stuff. Let me go back and share my ticker. Okay, show. And then we're gonna courses permaculture link. Remember that one? We'll show this one too. Go to these places. Let's hang out more. Sign up for my classes. Tell me what you want. I put up a coming soon link. Really, right now, what's coming soon is this new and improved online free permaculture design course. And it's just going to be a new and improved version of everything that I already have. And I'm going to kind of combine that year-long free permaculture course, which is still available, and the paid women's course. I'm going to combine those and relaunch everything and streamline all the information and make it just really easy for everyone to be informed and empowered to call it permaculture or not, but to have this set of skills to use everywhere you go. So I would love to hear from everyone. I always answer email, and I try not to let it take too long. And I'm really not on Facebook socially. Sometimes I am. I'm in that women's permaculture group because I love it there. But I love getting email. So send me a message and see me in the forums and let me know what you want me to talk about next time. I think I'm going to talk about seed saving. Like in a month, I'm going to do this again. So bye. Let me check the chat, see if there's any last minute anything. Thank you for everyone. Oh, figs. Let's talk about figs real quick. I want to show you the fig tree. This will be a great closing moment. Yeah. So, like I said, I'm from Oregon, and we would collect figs. I had like 60 different kinds of figs at one point. Oh, that's an exaggeration. Let's call it 16 different kinds of figs that I had collected cuttings and gotten them going. And I had these cute little trees. And then the winter would come and half of them would die. And we'd kind of get them to grow back. And then there was a couple of varieties, Desert King and Brown Turkey, that did really well in a temperate climate. But it was still just like, wow, a lot of work. Here in Andalusia, we're in zone 9B. I hope I don't cut out. You see it? It's basically a fig tree that's as big as like a Northwest apple tree. It's giant and it's old, and it just got heavily pruned, and you can't even tell. And it just drips with fruit. It's so easy to grow. And so this is the thing about figs. They like water, but they don't like wet feet. They like sun, but they don't like getting fried when they're babies. They're easy to get started. They're really easy to propagate from cuttings, either from a root division or just any tip cutting. They're really easy, but they hate being transplanted. So they're sort of fussy in that way, but once a fig gets established, it's pretty hard to kill it if you've chosen the right variety for your bioregion. So the best way to find out what that is to find like that local gardening group or even just go to your local nursery and get that advice about what the amazing local variety is. Because even though we're here and that fig is amazing, there's figs down the street that don't ever make fruit or they make nasty little dry fruit because they're not the right variety. So that's what I have to say about figs. And wow, I'm so glad you all came. And I can't wait to read all the comments later. And I love you all. Talk to you later. Bye.